Okay, so we have our layout finished here. Again, you feel free to change it, add as much or as little as you want. You probably want to add some road markings here, maybe some signage you could draw and create them as blocks, put them in layers, all that kind of thing. But you know how to do that. We've been over that. What we're going to do now is we're going to explore using some XRefs. Now you may or may not need to be doing this at this stage. You might be happy just with this indicative kind of rectangle showing where the offices are. But what we're going to do, we're going to bring in the layouts. For whatever reason, you might want to show the ground floor layouts here so you can see the external doors, that kind of thing. You might want to show the roof plan just so you can see how it looks. Regardless, we're going to do it more as an example of how XRefs are used. So first thing I want to do, I want to go back to our world coordinate system, okay? And I'm going to click there, just so we're back in this world kind of coordinate view. And now I'm going to look at first bringing in the ground floor plan that we created. So I'm going to go up here to Insert, and under Reference, I'm going to go to Attach. And I'm going to pull this down. You can attach all sorts of different files. I'm going to attach a drawing, okay? So if you navigate to your project folder and go to your ground floor layout drawing that we have, okay? It's in the resources section. If you go to that and click Open, then it's going to bring this in as an external reference. Now, I'm going to explain something here. When we created our floor plans, we drew those in millimeters. So 1 unit equaled 1 millimeter. In our site layout, we're drawing in meters. 1 unit equals a meter. So really, we want when we bring in our site plans, we want them to be scaled down by 1,000. Now, if we were doing that normally as a block or something, we'd bring it in and we'd scale it down by 0.001, which will be scaled down by 1,000. When you attach an XRef, you can actually have the option, because our units are set up correctly, it's detected that the unit is millimeters. And you can see it's telling us it will factor that in. It will scale it down by 0.001. So because we set up the units correctly in both drawings, it's already, AutoCAD is intelligent enough to know that. So we don't need to change. We can bring this in with a scale of 1 and we can let it do its thing with this here set correctly. If it hadn't been set up correctly, you would have to say, okay, I'm going to uniform scale it by 0.001. But if we do that now, it's going to scale it twice because it's already doing it here. It will do it again. So we'll leave that set to 1. Insertion point. Now, because it's a different scale, we didn't draw it to actual coordinates. If you were inserting something as an external reference, let's say another company had done the landscaping and sent it to us as a file and it was done in the correct coordinates, we could just untick that and just bring it in, and because it was both drawings were done in the correct coordinates to the correct scale, it would come in the right place. And a lot of times you will do that because everyone's working to the correct coordinates, and it's a good way of checking that, making sure things come in at the right place. But in this case, we created that. It was just a floor plan, so it was just to its own coordinate scale. So we're going to have to insert on screen where it's going. And then you have rotation. Rather than try and work out what rotation it's coming, we're just going to select on screen, okay? And we're going to have this as an attachment. And that's it. And I'm going to click OK. And you'll see now our building comes in. So we can see where our 00 point was in the building file. It was just where the cross is here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it there. I'm going to have auto on. I'm just going to put it there for now. And then I'm going to move it using this corner of the actual building onto there. I'll then rotate it, again using that as a base point. But now instead of pressing return, I'm going to click on reference, and the reference will be I want that corner to actually be on that angle. And now we have this external reference in our drawing. So if I now go down here, and you'll see this little, it looks like a paper clip and a piece of paper icon. If I click on this, we get the XRef manager. XRef is just a shortened way of saying external references. They're both the same thing. So we get our XRef manager. The first thing you'll have is your actual drawing you are in, office part, ground floor site layout. It just comes up at the top. That's the drawing that are open. It's telling you all the drawing files that are in this file, and the first one is always itself. Now the second one here, this is an external reference, and it's our ground floor site. So we can see now what is actually happening is if we were to load this drawing up, if we were to close it down and then load it up again, it would load up this drawing, office park, greenfield site layout, and then it would look for another file, which is this ground floor, and it would load that in the background. So that is the main difference with an XRef and a block. With an XRef, we haven't inserted this floor layout into this drawing in terms of all the geometry. We've just told it, load this file and show it, display it on top. So none of that geometry, none of the file size of this is added to the current file. And you could have, if this file, office park, greenfield site layout, was only, let's say it was 1 megabyte file size, and this office park layout was 10 megabytes. If you inserted this office park into your drawing, the whole drawing would become 11 megabytes because it would be 10 from the floor plan and 1 megabyte of the site layout. So 11 megabytes in total worth of information. With an XRef, if you inserted it as an XRef, this file would still only be 1 megabyte because it's not, the information is only being loaded and displayed on top. It's not being inserted, and it remains separate files. And that is a key difference with external references. Now what I can do, just as a demonstration, if I right click this and go to open, okay, I'm just going to move this out of the way. I can actually open the file. In fact, let me close it up. So I can open the file, and this is the original file here. And if I was to now, for whatever reason, someone came along and says, I want a big circle in the middle, okay, and I want to delete all the internal, well, I want to delete this internal wall and all the hatching, okay. Now, don't do this if you're following along because you might ruin your file. I'm just going to save that, okay. And if I go back here now, a little message pops up and it says an XRef was modified. Reload it. And if I click reload, what's going to happen, AutoCAD is going to reload with the changes, and it takes you into this XRef compare. This is, now if this doesn't happen on your AutoCAD, this coming in one of the recent ones, it might have been 2020 or 2021. What it used to do, what it might have done on yours, is it just reloads and it shows the new layout, and that's it. With this XRef compare, it's there because obviously if you hadn't been told what had changed, you wouldn't know. And so we used to have to hunt through and find out what had changed. What it's done, it's highlighted in red the wall that was deleted, and it's put this yellow box around the circle that was added. So it's highlighting what has changed, and you can just accept that. It's just kind of a display. But now you can see it's just reloaded a file, and that's updated to show the latest layout. Now while I remember, I am going to undo, and I'm going to go back here and I'm going to click save, okay? And again, it'll happen again. I'm going to reload, and it's the opposite. So the circle has been deleted, it's in red, and the wall's been added, it's in green. And there you go, so it's back. But that demonstrates the power of XRefs. If you imagine that the landscaping was done by an external landscaping company, that would come in as an XRef, we'd load it in. And then he did some changes, he phoned us up, he says, oh, I'm just about to email you revision 2, we've made some changes. Okay, all we need to do is save that over the top of the old file, and next time you open the drawing, or if you've got it open, it will say reload, and you reload that and it will put in all their changes because it's an external reference. So XRefs have two benefits, two main benefits. One is that any change is done automatically. The second is it reduces a overall file size. So huge site layouts can be split into many different items. Okay.